Podcast. I'm JJ Starr.
And I'm Downtown Andy.
Welcome. We're back. We took a week off, and now we're back, and we're here to talk. We're here to bring some civil discourse to an otherwise discordant world. And Andy, how are you?
Falling asleep.
You're falling asleep?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get this on the road then. Let's swing this one hard. Let's
bring it home.
Let's bring it on home. Well, we have some rules. 3 simple rules we abide by for the sake of civility. No judgment, nothing personal, and please do not be a dick.
You ready to talk?
What do you want to talk about?
This whole week has been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And, I thought every time you ask me what I want to talk about, I think about, pigeonholing it, but then I'm like, it's too specific, but then I think about something else, and it's like, it's too broad. I told you earlier I want to talk about being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
We've had an incredibly overwhelming week.
Yes.
You know how people always say that, celebrities die in threes?
Yes.
We've lost 5 people this week.
Yeah, we lost 5 people in 4 days.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Shannon Doherty, Richard Simmons.
Yep. Dr. Ruth. John Landau, and Shelley Duvall.
Yeah. And to top it all off, Trump almost got killed yesterday.
Yeah, that would have been 6. The fuck, people? God, seriously. And it's just, and it's I think about it, and so many of them were barely in their 70s. I mean, Richard Simmons was in his early 70s. Shelley Duvall was 71. Shannon Doherty was 50-something. 50-something.
But she had cancer.
Yeah, and it's just
and fought it like a motherfucker.
God, seriously. It's been a roller coaster, you're right.
I don't want to dwell on any one thing specifically too much, let alone really at all.
Yeah.
You and I got into a very lengthy discussion last night because, what happened yesterday really upset me, okay? Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone's entitled to think and feel however they want. That's my opinion. But yesterday really upset me. And
politics aside, it was upsetting.
It speaks to what I want this topic to be about. It's how we handle being overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And as we discussed earlier in the car, you pointed out that I'm noticing things more often, that when people make mistakes, take advantage of other people, just so in a rush to be lazy, to cut corners, to do things of that sort. You couldn't get into the car today because the jackass parked next to us was on the line.
While he's sitting in the car.
While he sees us trying to get in there.
Standing at the fucking bumper, I can't get in the car. And this asshat is just sitting there looking at me, apparently.
And 3 people today messaged me with the sole intention of wanting to know what I thought about yesterday. It's you have nothing better to do with your time than provoke me. You have nothing else to talk to me about besides, and I'm an easy target because I'm a Republican, I'm a Christian, I'm a gun owner, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other thing. I voted for Trump in 2 elections. I voted for Trump in 2 elections.
Also very short-fused.
Because of things like this.
But people know that. And I'm not making an excuse. It's a shitty person who goes after someone because they can get a reaction out of them. It's a shitty person that does that.
I don't want to call out James for this. James is the drummer in Tax Collectors.
Hi, James.
And he said to me, because we didn't talk for a while until, we started playing together, but he's that one summer, whatever it was, that he was commenting on all my stuff. I don't remember if he said it was out of boredom or to get a rise out of me or whatever it was, but he said he was doing it on purpose. Now, I don't hold anything against him, okay? We've known each other our whole lives.
Yeah.
But there are people out there who do love to get a rise out of me and just love getting a rise out of people. Now, that's not how me or Henry per se tries to get a rise. We're trying to get a reaction because we like entertaining people, he's trying to make people laugh. I'm trying to make people laugh. I'm trying to,
He's 6.
Yeah. Okay. But, if you're trying to be funny, if you're trying to, get a reaction out of somebody and there's no malintent involved, the two are completely separate things.
Yeah.
Now, I never, ever go out of my way to try and get a reaction out of somebody with malintent. There's nothing in it for me. You know, you and I regularly have to remind each other that we're not having debates with the intention of trying to make the other one look stupid.
Yeah.
Because there's no, first of all, that's just rude, and there's nothing in it for either one of us. We're married, we love each other.
We're also not stupid.
And we're not evil.
Yeah, there's that too.
But there are people who try and get reactions out of people just because they can. And it's really sick.
I remember in 2004, ages ago. God damn, that was 20 years ago.
21 years
Holy
ago.
shit.
No, 20.
No, 20 years ago.
I can't do math.
And I remember I was up, and I've told you this story before. I was up all night. I was up until 7:30 in the morning working on my playwriting final as an undergrad, and it was election day. It was election day, 2004, and I think John Kerry just conceded the election. He just went live and said thank you, but I'm going to tap out or whatever, blah 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 and everything. And I, after sleeping off the rest of that day, I took to LiveJournal. And I said something about how I had been up all night and I had muted the election coverage in the corner the entire time and everything while I worked on my final. And I thought that, it was very gracious what John Kerry did. And that was literally all I said. I didn't get into it. I didn't give a middle finger or anything like that. I was like, it was very gracious, all things considered, with the climate and everything that was going on at that time. I said I thought it was very gracious that John Kerry did not drag out the election results and everything and keep the country, in this sort of upheaval longer than necessary. And I had a friend from high school who basically decided that my asshole needed to be torn asunder for saying such a thing. How dare I have the balls to say something so stupid and so inhuman, what blah 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 and everything. And I have not spoken to that person since. He shunned me from his life and was just like, boom, you're done. You don't exist to me anymore. Because I had an opinion that he disagreed with. And while I, at the time, probably found his reaction very shocking, if that happened at this point in my life, I don't think I would even turn my nose up at it. I'd be like, fuck, whatever. I'd be like, okay, homie, you're not even the type of person I want in my life.
You know what occurs to me right here and now is the fact that every time I removed all social media from my phone a little while ago because I need another nice long break after everything that's been going on. But it occurs to me right now that everybody that bitches in chats and threads and reels and everything that's on there, you see one video or whatever, or one comment, and then everyone's got to respond and have their 2 cents of whatever. Not a fucking person has their finger on the pulse of what's going on in anybody's political camp or celebrity, inner circle or whatever. Nobody fucking has their finger on the pulse. Nobody at all. They just like to bitch about all of it, thinking that they know what's really going on, and that way they have something to say to the next person, the person after that, and this and that and the other thing, so they can perpetuate this cycle going on and on and on because think their way is the right way. Mm-hmm. And God forbid anybody have a dissenting opinion or something like that. Unless you're actually in with these people that we see on television every day and hear about in the news, you don't fucking know what's really going on. No. You don't know what's being said behind closed doors. I can say honestly, here and now, I would love to think that I know based on what I've seen, based on the information I've researched, this and that and the other thing. I don't fucking know. And I don't think anybody else really does either. It's all become so sensationalized to this point. It's become fucking WWE. That's what it is.
I think it's necessary to take everything at this point with a grain of cynicism. And I said that last night. I think that it's necessary because you have to have a healthy proportion of facts with a soupçon of cynicism thrown in, but also a pinch of faith, because you have to, I think that you need to take what is in front of you and question it, but trust your instincts in believing what you are going to believe out of it.
Now,
you know what I mean?
I don't know if I said this in the episode that we didn't air yet. I don't know if I said it in a previous episode, but I alluded to at some point that I was going to stop talking about people without directly naming anyone.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want to make waves. I don't want to get in trouble with anyone or anything, whatever. I don't give a shit anymore. Fuck Kyle. Fuck Max. Fuck Jonah.
Okay.
Fuck all of them.
Okay.
Okay? And if that causes a riff, I don't give a shit. 3 people who just love pushing my buttons when it comes to politics in particular.
Yeah.
But really just anything that they kind of have a hint that I'm going to have a disagreeing opinion about.
Now, is it your anger that's been overwhelming you?
That's part of it, yeah.
Okay.
It's also part of what we just talked about and the fact that, you know, they like to get rises out of me.
Well,
okay?
they're getting one right now.
I know. And this is me venting. This is me making myself feel better because I don't want to dwell on this anymore. So I'm saying what I need to say to get things off my chest and to recover. Mm-hmm. This is my remedy. Okay? Fuck all of you. You can go fuck yourselves.
You feel better now?
I will feel better because should any of them... I don't think any of them are actually going to listen to this.
Well, I don't really want to turn this entire episode into you just telling people to go fuck themselves.
I think it's warranted at this point.
Well, I think maybe we should talk a little bit about what's actually going on. You want to talk about being overwhelmed and ways of dealing with it. Now, this is obviously one way of dealing with it.
This is the healthiest and safest way for me to deal with it.
To deal with this particular type of overwhelmingness.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay? Because I have a tendency to get overwhelmed very easily now because I notice a lot of things that I didn't notice as much before. I notice when people make mistakes or take shortcuts or are lazy or are inconsiderate or go out of their way to inconvenience somebody. And it all builds and it builds and it builds and it piles up. And people tell me all the time, I'm too serious for my own good. I don't know how to take a joke. I don't know how to relax. I don't know this. I don't know that. I'm done apologizing for how I am. I'm just done. I'm flat out done. I am done feeling like I need to defend myself or defend my opinion. This middle finger is a long time coming. And it's not just them. Okay? It's not just the people that I've named here and now. I am really sick to death of having to defend who I am, what I am, why I am.
You've
to
mentioned
friends, to family, to coworkers, to whoever.
You've mentioned.
Okay?
Can I ask you something, though?
Go for it.
Why do you feel so obligated to do so?
Obligated to defend myself?
Yeah.
Because I constantly feel like I'm under attack.
But why? It is a feeling to you.
Yeah.
And even if you are absolutely right and people are trying to attack you, why do you hold on to this obligation to defend yourself? It's like, it's almost, and I'm not, again, no judgment, rule number 1. But like, why is it so important that these people know that they are wrong about you? Why is it so important to you? Because I've been in situations where I have felt the need to defend myself, and quite frankly, I don't bother. I don't bother humoring people who are being an asshat to me. I don't bother humoring them with what I believe is an explanation that they don't quite frankly deserve.
Because it never stops. It literally never stops, and anybody who says otherwise doesn't know me and doesn't know my history. I have been antagonized my entire life just for being what I am.
I know.
Just for being who I am.
I know.
You know, but they don't know. The people listening to this don't know.
You have mentioned this several times. But my question is you're here right now, standing before us and everyone listening right now, and you are letting this out. My question to you is, will this relieve you? Do you believe that this is what will relieve you?
I don't know. You know why? Because I've said things like this in talk therapy before.
Okay.
As I've mentioned in other podcasts, I've seen multiple therapists and done talk therapy for a long, long time until I felt like it wasn't serving me anymore. Mm-hmm. And I had no reservations about letting everything out in talk therapy. All the things that have bothered me throughout the years. Everything that I've talked to you in great detail about. But it just keeps coming and coming. And it gets overwhelming because there's no peace for me. There is no peace for me as long as there is somebody out there who sees nothing wrong with their ability to push buttons just because they can. And until that stops, I won't be at peace.
So why not just completely disassociate with those people?
Because some of those people I can't completely disassociate with. Some of those people I have to interact with on a regular basis. Like coworkers, like bandmates, okay? Because I'm not about to let my issues with them deter me from doing the things that I want to do, that I genuinely want to do with my life.
I think that is a sign of strength.
Like, I've had to tell Kyle not to put politic-related things in the band stories on Instagram, because that is not an accurate representation of every individual in the band. Every person in the band is an individual. Mm-hmm. And I would say the same thing to Scott if he were ever to do something like that. If you're listening, look, you know I love you, but I don't agree with speaking for everybody when it comes to politics, because I would never go around doing the same thing.
And I think that's the toughest part, is that as creatives, we want to believe that we are sort of imbued with this freedom of expression, this true freedom of expression. But you can't permit yourself to speak for everyone just because you are using your creativity as that platform. It's not fair, in my opinion. It's not fair. And I say that as an artist, that it's not fair.
I don't speak for anybody but myself. I don't impose my will or my views on anyone. I don't try and force anybody into thinking or doing anything that they don't want to. That's not who I am. That's not how I'm built. Yeah. Never have been that way.
And it is overwhelming that a vast majority of people these days are.
Like, in past podcasts, we've talked about the hypocrisy of people. Mm-hmm. We have talked about the influence of other people. We have talked about all very similar themes to what we're talking about right now in what we see in other people that we interact with.
Yeah.
And this overwhelms me because I feel like I can't be myself. I feel like I can't be myself around my friends, around my family, around the people believe me, I would love to just cut ties with every person who goes out of their way to upset me.
And I have not, I don't mean to be a hypocrite, because I have not cut ties with people per se. I have an extent, but I don't say, well, why not just cut these people out of your life? Because it is a solution, but it's not always a feasible solution in certain situations. I, on the other hand, would preach the remedy that I have found for this type of sense of overwhelm. And that is that I truly am, I think when I hit 30, I became truly unapologetically myself. I not only don't give a rat's ass what people think about me, I truly, at this point, and it's been 10 years now that I've been working at it, but I have reached a point where because I've tried so hard and I've practiced it for so long at this point that it is kind of second nature. I'm unapologetically myself, and I do not grant people an explanation of myself anymore. I used to in my 20s, especially, when I would feel embarrassed, or I would feel like I did something wrong, or I felt backed into a corner or something, or I felt attacked, and I would feel this overwhelming obligation to explain myself to people. Like, if only you understood me, then you wouldn't make fun of me, or you wouldn't, be angry with me, or you wouldn't this, or you wouldn't that. And now, at this point in my life, my attitude is, quite frankly, fuck y'all, bye. Like, I don't care at this point. If you don't get it, I don't care if you don't get it. I just don't care anymore.
And that extends to me too, doesn't it? Yeah.
I mean,
that makes complete sense.
I want to believe that there are people in my life who understand me enough to know that I feel certain things, I have certain perspectives, and I have certain cares. And beyond that, I don't waste my energy. And I say waste because to me it is an actual waste. Like if my energy was money and I just flushed it quarter by quarter down the toilet. I do not waste my energy explaining myself to people at this point. And it upsets me that it upsets you so much because you feel so obligated to do this.
I feel obligated to do what is right. To do what I believe is the right thing.
Yes, but you also feel obligated to explain yourself constantly. And I think that's unfortunate. Because these people don't deserve that explanation. They haven't earned it. Because they're not going to take that information and understand you. They're going to take that information and just fuck off with it and still be dicks. And we have a rule here. Don't be a dick. No dicks allowed. No dicks allowed.
My mother, for a long time, used to say that my grandfather had a saying. That he always used to say, it is better to be alone than to be in bad company.
I don't think he made that up, but yeah.
I'm not saying he did, but I'm just saying, according to her, he used to say that a lot.
No doubt. It's a smart thing to say.
And I've had a long time to think about that.
Yeah.
A long, long time. And the conclusion that I've come to is that's a really, really good way to wind up alone.
Yes.
Real easy way to wind up alone.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
There are times where that may be necessary. That you may need to be alone for a long time to reclaim yourself. For me to reclaim myself. Certainly I needed to be before we got together. Because if I was still holding on to grudges and old thoughts and past problems, I mean, I would have been no good to you.
I let go of one grudge before we got together, but that was default because he died. I think that's cheating, honestly. I think he cheated his way out of that by dying.
Well, I mean, you got to see him before he died. I
Yeah.
didn't. I'm still waiting on that beer. Let's talk about how overwhelming that was.
That was overwhelming.
It was incredible. We're talking about Jim. Everybody who knows us
overwhelming.
knows Jim, knows that you dated him, that I was in a band with him.
That was an extremely overwhelming period of time.
Because that was during my hiatus from music.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I had distanced myself from everybody that I used to be in bands with. Kyle, the rest of Two Fisted Law. You know, I was trying to live my best life possible for the kids at that point. Because I didn't want to get back into drugs. I didn't want to get back into old habits. I wanted to be around for my kids.
You know what I think is crazy? Sorry to interrupt. Is that it's just very, very cosmic to me that you were in a band with Jim and he died during your hiatus from music. And I dated him and he died during my hiatus from dating. Something very cosmic about that. And I think if anyone was going to pull some shit like that, it would be that motherfucker. I like that laugh.
I miss him so much.
I miss him too.
I miss his jokes. I miss his smile. I miss driving him to work. I miss standing next to him on stage. I felt safe around him.
Same.
I felt like as long as he was next to me, nothing could hurt me.
When I was working in Baltimore, I asked if he would come with me. And of course he didn't. But I asked him if he would come with me because I knew that I would be safe so long as he was near me.
And truth be told, I wouldn't be in Two-Fisted Law if not for him, because I was hanging around our mutual friends the summer before I joined, and he was always at, I think it was Heather's house or Billy's house, or probably both, and Dave had left and Terry was on his way out, and they were like, we're going to need a guitar player, and he had heard me play and was just like, yeah, if you can learn this stuff, yeah, fucking. So, that day in August, 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And I woke up to that missed call from Kyle, and I couldn't believe it. Like, it was one of those moments that just didn't seem real.
The first thing I did after I texted Chapman to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I immediately called Jim's cell phone and left a voicemail for him screaming that Eric just told me you died. I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? And then I hung up and I just collapsed.
You know what I miss most about him? We never talked about things that we disagreed on.
I saw him the night before he died, and we were actually talking about that. And looking back on it, I know that he was talking about you, and he and a couple of the other guys, obviously, but like, he was saying that, he loved the idea of getting back on stage with you guys and hanging out and seeing you guys, because outside of that, and these were his words, outside of that, he said, you can talk to me about whatever you want. We can debate all night if you want. But, inside that space and on that stage, everyone came together and it was just brotherhood. Yeah. And it was fantastic. And then the motherfucker, just fucked it all up.
Like, I've had 3 years to wrestle with that, but, my last in-person memory of him, he showed up at my brother's wake in his street clothes.
Yeah.
Like 45 minutes before, the end of the service. And he stayed with me those 45 minutes. And he walked me to my car. And I will never forget that.
I'm still pissed off that, he died 12 hours after I saw him. But I am glad.
That was the last time I saw him. It was, Devil's Night 2017.
Yeah.
And from that point on, it was just comments on pictures of Henry. Oh, he looks just like you. Oh, we got to get a beer soon.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We got to hang out soon. We got to get a drink.
And, in keeping with the theme of being overwhelmed, like, I was so overwhelmed when my brother died.
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed when my mother died. I was overwhelmed when any other friend of mine, no matter how close or distant we were from each other, died. And in those initial moments of processing what had happened, I think I just went completely numb. And people would always ask, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And like, knowing how I am, I know it's like, yeah, it's going to hit me. And I would always say this. I'm like, it's going to hit me. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it's going to, and I'll just deal with it then. And it always did.
Yeah. I physically collapsed, and then I emotionally collapsed when Jim died. I did the same thing when Banky died. And those are the only two losses that I have suffered that I truly was completely overwhelmed by. I have a very, I guess people would call it interesting perspective on death because of my Wiccan background and everything, so that I have a different perspective on it. It's very compartmentalized for me. I'm able to handle the idea of mortality, but at the same time allow myself to grieve and to mourn. When I lost Banky and when we lost Jim, I lost all sense of it. I was completely out of control, and I was unable to control my emotions. I was up and down, manic, just wanting to do as many bad things. I wanted to make bad choices for myself. I wanted to, smoke myself into oblivion. I wanted to drink myself into a coma. Like, I was not okay. And it took a very long time for me to be able to get control of that again. And that's the type of thing that when I think about, being overwhelmed, I think about those 2 moments in my life, those periods in my life. And I really think about how hard it was to get a grip on that. And it makes everything else seem very survivable by comparison. And I think that's why I'm able to compartmentalize so much nowadays. I'm able to be okay with letting things slide off, because by comparison, everything else I go through, hard days at work, fights with you, whatever else comes my way, it is all survivable because I want to survive it. And that's all that matters to me. And that's why I love you. That's why, as your wife, I sometimes, and I apologize for it, I push you sometimes to try and get a grip, I guess, because because I know that you're strong, and I want you to have the freedom I want you to have the freedom to just be okay.
You want to know what the reality of it is?
Yeah.
There is a gravity that comes with death that I don't think a lot of people really grasp. Because, people say, like, oh, I wish so-and-so would just fucking die, and oh, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and blah, blah, blah. Like, people say stupid shit like that all the time.
Good grief.
But when somebody actually dies, when somebody or somebody you've heard of or whatever, like, if it's somebody that was a part of your life, you don't really feel it until they're actually gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't really grasp those emotions until that person is gone and you come to terms with the fact that they're not coming back. Yeah. Whether you loved them or you hated them, whoever they were, you don't get it. You just don't fucking get it. And when you said earlier about how, I feel I need to explain myself to everybody, that, what that stems from? It stems from the fact that for 2 years straight, I knew that my brother was on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to help him so badly. But see, I had drug problems when I was younger. And nobody's going to listen to somebody who had drug problems. Nobody is going to listen to somebody. No one's going to trust the judgment of somebody. I'm saying it here and now on the podcast, out in the open. I don't give a shit. Okay? Anyone who knows me knows I've had issues with drugs in the past. Okay? But now here I am, relatively clean at this point in 2015, watching my brother fall down into a pit that he can't get himself out of.
Yeah.
And nobody would listen to me. Nobody trusted my judgment. Okay? And I made a very lengthy post about this on Facebook on the anniversary of his death this past October that was supposed to be, shielded from all family members, but somehow it got leaked or whatever it was. And I fucking unloaded. I unloaded because for 2 years I tried to save his life. Mm-hmm. I tried to get him to wake the fuck up and turn his life around and do something to just get back to who he used to be.
Yeah.
And I blame myself for writing him off, because I got to a point 2 years in where I couldn't stand it anymore. Henry was about to be born, and I didn't want my son around my brother if he was going to be like that, and I couldn't save him, so I wrote him off. And then 3 months later, after our last conversation, after our last fight, he was gone.
Yeah.
And that was overwhelming. Because I get to his place and I see what's going on, and I ran to my car, clutching my head, racing for a cigarette. I've never ran for a cigarette so fast. And again, people don't get it until they experience it firsthand. I saw his body.
I know.
I saw the hole in his head. Let that sink in for people who don't get it. My brother is not coming back. And I tried as hard as I could to help him. And I gave up because to me, he was beyond help at that point. And that has overwhelmed me every single day since.
That's going to be a hard one because there aren't going to be people who just readily have that, who are able to sympathize with that. And that's got to feel isolating.
It has.
Yeah. And that's going to add to the overwhelming feeling, I'm sure.
There's that. And the fact that I had to look at that couch that he died on for months afterwards while we cleaned the place out.
Yeah.
Something that members of my own family haven't even seen.
Yeah.
Or been around.
So even they don't get it.
They know who they are.
My brain wants to say to you, out of all love, that you have been through so much and you have the strength to have gotten through so much that I feel like you will be able to conquer it all eventually. The pain and those memories, they're never going to go away. But the idea that you're going to feel overwhelmed by others at this point, by the small nothing people who would go out of their way to make you feel bad for being molded by the things that you have experienced in your lifetime. The people who would go out of their way to make you feel bad for turning out the way that you are because of the things that you have survived. I hope that one day you're able to sort of cast that off, because you are a strong person. And I hope that you are able to look those people in the eye and realize that you don't care anymore about whether or not they get it. And I think you'll get there.
You know, you hear me say all the time, I have everything that I want.
Mm-hmm.
Because I genuinely do. Everything that I do now in my life is not for me. I do way more that goes unnoticed for other people than I do for myself.
Yeah.
Now, that's not what most people would have you believe. I've been told so much over the last 10 years that I don't do enough.
Yeah.
That I don't deserve what I have. That I don't deserve to feel what I feel. That I don't deserve any breaks. That I could always be doing more. And those are other things I have to wrestle with, in addition to the loss of so many close people to me.
Yeah.
So it piles and it builds and it builds and it builds. And I just have to keep biting my tongue.
You know the truth, though.
I do.
There's power in that. There's power in the fact that you know the truth. And you need to give yourself time to tap into that. It sounds a little hokey, but honestly, like, I think that it's a matter of just, it's like a slow drip, like a maple tree. It just, once you tap into it, it'll flow.
I got the feeling for a long time that you didn't want to tackle subjects like this in podcasts. And so I kind of refrained from the heavy stuff. But in my mind, these things need to be discussed. Because I'm the kind of person that would want to listen to a podcast like this for exactly that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are people out there that need to know that other people are feeling what they're feeling, and they need to be able to connect with them in that way. I need to be able to connect with people who feel what I'm feeling, who feel invalidated, who feel overwhelmed and let them know that, what you just said, there is power in the truth.
Mm-hmm. And that's a power that no one is able to take away from you. And I think that a lot of it is realizing that you don't have to defend this power from anyone who would seek to take it away from you, because it's impossible. Because the only way for you to lose this power is to give it up. No one can take it.
I went into a lot of talk therapy sessions unloading this exact same stuff, thinking I was going to feel better by the end of it, thinking there was going to be some miraculous breakthrough that, and I remember walking out of a lot of those sessions thinking to myself, I just poured my heart out for that person and nothing's changed.
Yeah.
They just accepted the fact that I'm hurting over the loss of loved ones, over being mistreated by people in my life, and, at least in my mind, not really providing me with any solutions to combat these emotions and these challenges.
Yeah.
And so it left me thinking, where do I go from here? Who do I turn to? What is the process? What is the healing process from here on out? And so I turned within.
Yeah.
Because that's when you really, at least from what I've figured out thus far, is you have to look to yourself. You have to reflect. And that's when you really learn what you're made of.
I think that there's power in that, too. I think that there's something very, very constructive about realizing that you can be self-sufficient in situations like this, where you can give yourself the time and the space to just work it out for yourself. And that could take years. It could take years just to get to a point where you understand that there's nothing wrong with needing the space to be able to adjust yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's very noble, and I think it's very admirable, and I think it's very strong. Yeah, like you.
When you use those words to describe me, and you've done it, pretty frequently throughout our marriage, in some small way it makes me feel like someone's finally listening.
I listen. I like you. I like you. Do you love me? I love you, honey. I am there for you. I don't always understand. I don't always react properly, for lack of a better way of putting it. But I'm always going to be there for you. God damn it. And I know you're going to be there for me too.
Always.
And on days like this and weeks like this where shit just feels like it's everywhere. It is just a shitstorm raining down on us. Just knowing that that's true is sometimes that's enough. Just for like the little moments to know that we got each other. And not just to have and to hold yada yada heart stuff. Like actually to have each other's back. And that's it. And that's true love.
Because at the end of the day, we are husband and wife.
Mm-hmm. We are lovers forever and ever.
We are supposed to have each other's back.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to think any differently of each other just because we disagree on things.
And we don't. No. Because we're too intelligent for that, to be perfectly honest. And we'll rub that in everyone's face.
My boss likes to frequently bring up how things were done in the old days. If two people got in a fight, they went out on the dock and they threw fists and then they went and got a beer.
How old is your boss?
64?
The fuck? This is an old-timey bare-knuckle boxing match. What the fuck?
I'm just...
Is he Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York? Like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? Is he a pugilist? Like, what the hell? No! Unacceptable.
I'm just waiting for the day.
You know what? The next time he says that that's what they did in the olden days, just tell him, well, why not?
Yeah.
And just, nod towards the door. Come on. Time to settle this shit. And just duke it out.
And then he's going to buy me a few beers.
Yeah. You feel all right?
I feel better.
Good. Do you feel lighter?
In some way, yeah.
Yeah. It's a start. You gotta start somewhere. This was a tough one. This was a hard one because this is very heavy. It's still a good talk.
I spend a lot of time trying to put myself in situations where I could be the best version of myself.
You're always going to be the best version of yourself so long as you want to. So long as you care enough to be the best version of yourself, you will be. Even if at times it doesn't seem like it. But with what you have inside of you, so long as you're putting forth 100%, even if it's not the best version you can be, it's still 100%. And that's the important thing. My body, for example, my body is just busted at this point. And there are days when I want to do a serious workout, but I can't. I don't have the stamina. I don't have the strength to do it right now. But I want to. So what do? I do as much as I can. And I look back on those days and I'm like, it sucks that I can't do what I want to do, but I still know that I did everything I could. And that has to make me feel okay about what I'm doing.
Let's turn the air on.
God bless, yes.
And get some water.
Yeah, we could get some water, y'all. It was heavy, but this was a good talk. I think. You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure there'll be more like this. We'll come back next week with something a little bit lighter for people who need
unless something else crazy happens in the next 7 days.
God, please, universe, just give us a break. All right? Please.
Maybe it's up to us to create the break.
Maybe it is. Well, we got vacation coming up, like an actual vacation.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, I often think to myself, and how were things made in the past? Like, not like actually made, but like how is it that things were done by people to get to where people wanted to be in society and life and in general? And I feel like we're not doing as much as we could be doing. No. I feel like there's some like unspoken movement that needs to be grassrooted, Well,
maybe we'll suss it out. We'll work on that. We'll brainstorm. We'll bring it to the table. Let's wrap this one up, though. I think it's time. You're right. Let's get the air back on and get some water. Thank you out there in podcast land for listening to this episode of That Talking Podcast. This was a real one. It got very real, and we appreciate all y'all. Please check us out on social media, DT Andy and JJ Star with 2 R's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It's JJ Star on OnlyFans. What the hell?
It's Downtown Andy on OnlyFans.
And Downtown Andy on OnlyFans. Yeah, you on there. High five. Thank you, Andy, for our theme song, The Guide.
Thank you for all that you do with this podcast.
And thank you, Sadie, for being so adorable. You're doing a good job. So until next time, from the 3 of us at That Talking Podcast, I'm JJ Star.
And I'm Downtown Andy.
And we will talk to you later.